So, we finally come to the episode that made me go, God damn it, I guess I'm gonna have to watch Arrow. Yeah, for those who don't know, I did say after the end of Season 3 that I didn't want to watch Arrow anymore because this third season was so bad. And then they released news that, Matt Ryan was reprising his role as John Constantine, and he was going to show up in an episode of Arrow. So this made me go, God damn it! Now I have to watch this. I have to watch the show, and judging by the 5 episodes I've seen, that would determine whether or not I would keep up with Arrow. Also, for those wondering as to why I didn't have a review up for episode 4 and why I still don't, mostly because, and I've explained this before in a few other videos, but for those who just come for the Arrow, the Flash and Arrow reviews, for those. The reason being is that my DirecTV was out, and the only reason I got to watch the Flash and Supergirl episodes were because I was somewhere else, and I came back home, and my DirecTV was still out at that time. But yeah, luckily I got to watch the episode I've been wanting to watch since day one. And let me say, I'm not disappointed so much as I am just a little let down. I'm not disappointed, because this episode was actually pretty good. And I have to give it credit that this was, this made people go, oh, you guys like Constantine? Here's Constantine! First off, let me say about this episode that I did like it. The only real gripe I have with this episode is that I feel like, the whole thing that, the whole thing with, what was I trying to say? The whole thing with when they did the announcement that Matt Ryan was coming back as John Constantine in an episode, we kind of thought that there'd be a lot more of him. Sadly, this isn't enough. And thinking over, I can understand why. I can understand why we didn't get as much as we did, and I'm okay with it. And here's why: because this is a show called Arrow, not Constantine. Now, yeah, you could say, well, they did they did a lot of stuff with Barry Allen before he became the Flash, and that's because that was meant to be a backdoor pilot for the Flash. So I can give them a little credit, and hey, if this episode did good, which I'm pretty damn sure it did, because I've looked at the ratings, I took a quick peek at the ratings so far, and this has just been blowing up all the social media right now, so I gotta say that this isn't the last time we've seen Matt Ryan as Constantine in the DCCW universe. So I'm actually kind of cool with it. And there was also recently an interview that Matt Ryan talked about that he would like to come back to DCCW, and there's a good chance that he will, possibly in Legends of Tomorrow. So I'm more than happy that he's coming back. As you guys remember, I gushed over Constantine a lot. I thought it was a great show, and it sucked that it was on the wrong show. I mean, the wrong station, excuse me. But now we have, hopefully, and Matt Ryan, the dude in this episode, he hadn't lost a beat. I mean, as I've said before multiple times about Matt Ryan's performance as John Constantine, the dude acts and looks like he just walked out of the comic books. That's how good he is, and he's still got that, angry swagger to him. Like, all of his just hand motions and how he just kind of carries himself. It's really awesome. I was kind of hoping that there would be there'd be something like, oh, God, mate. Like, he would look at, the Arrow costume and just be like, oh, God, mate, you let yourself go. Also, I found it just like, hey, I know a guy named Constantine. I'll get him real quick. Like, it's just a phone call, and he just reveals to Constantine that he's the Arrow and all that, and everyone's cool with it. But at the same time in my brain, I'm just like, shut up, Constantine's back. Shut up and enjoy it, boy. So, other than that they just kind of went, and yeah, he did show up in, the flashbacks. And, other than the fact that he just kind of shows that Oliver just calls him and is just like, hey, I need your help with something. And then you kind of think to yourself, why didn't he call John earlier to help, purify his sister when he figured out, oh, the Lazarus Pit kind of tainted her brain. Let me see if John can purify her or something, or can heal this bloodlust. They still didn't do that in the episode. Like, I was kind of thinking that there would be a moment where, he asked John to at least see if he could fix, Thea, and it would be I'd be totally okay if that John says, look, mate, look, she's still alive. She was, she didn't have the effects of the Lazarus Pit, last on her as much as it did Sarah, because she'd been dead longer. Or some kind of, because it's magic. You don't need to explain magic. John even says this in the episode. So if he said something like, it's the whole restoration of her soul isn't going to work the same way because she hadn't been as dead as long as Sarah had. So I'd be totally okay that he had, but they didn't even bring up that, Oliver didn't even say, hey, can you check out, take a look at my sister real quick? She kind of had the same thing happen to her. I don't know. But yeah, yeah, I just kind of found it quick that John was just like, "Hey, Oliver, I'm going to show up in the third act," but whatever. Also, what I liked about this episode was it's time to call BS on Oliver Day. This is what the episode should have been called because it took 3 seasons because yeah, Oliver's been probably the biggest hypocrite in the entire show, and thankfully, of all the people who calls BS on him, it's Laurel, because she finally when Sarah goes nuts and tries to kill Thea, and they reveal everything, and Oliver's just kind of getting pissed off at her. Thea just goes off and says, "How dare you kind of do this to me when you did the exact same thing to save Thea, and you never even told me until Thea had been living in my house for 7 months, and neither of you just bothered to tell me." I was like, oh my god, they become self-aware of this BS. So yeah, that's what I really liked here, is that they finally called BS on Oliver, who had been the king of hypocrisy. Because when you think about it, yeah, this is what Oliver did to save Thea was just the exact same thing Laurel did to try to save Sarah, and she even admits, yeah, what I did was a mistake, but it's no different from what other family member would do. Hell, you even did that, Oliver. I even love at the beginning, during the campaign manager tells Oliver, hey, people are going to remember that you had an affair with somebody, and they're going to bring that skeleton out of your closet. Yep. So again, I love that finally, after it's been 4 seasons, people, it's time to finally call Oliver on his bullshit. Oh, man. I did like the revelation about Andy Diggle. I did like that revelation about, that John finally gets some closure about his brother. And it's not exactly nice. Also, I still love Neil McDonnell as Damien Dark. He is great. Like, there's this moment after he sends, Detective Lance to go out and erase all these files of soldiers, and he discovers that one of the files that was erased was Andy, and then after he completes the mission, he just kind of stands there glaring at Damien, and Damien just kind of gives him this look of, "What do you want, a cupcake?" And then he's like, "Why'd you have Andy Diggle erased?" And he's like, "You know what, I'm going to tell you because you did such a good job." God, Neil McDonnell, he's one of the reasons why, he's probably been one of the most interesting villains since Slade. Yeah. Sorry, Roz. You were not interesting at all. Yeah, finally, we get an interesting villain. That hasn't been, now he's up there with, like, Slade and, God, I'm forgetting his I'm forgetting his name. Merlin. God, how did I forget that? Yeah. But now we find someone as interesting as Merlin. And having a lot more fun, too. Also, still don't care about Curtis because it's pretty much another Felicity. And I also don't care about Felicity. Still. I'm back to hating her. I know the last time I did a review I was supporting her, but then I was like, oh, and then in this episode it reminded me, oh yeah, you still suck. And this episode makes you, like, this episode makes you want Oliver and Laurel to get together. That's the big thing, is that it really makes you want to see Oliver and Laurel get back together. And in this episode, it really does make that through and through. And it just makes you hate Felicity more. And now I'm kind of hoping the whole, headstone we saw during, at the first episode of this new season is Felicity. It makes me even all the more hopeful for it being Felicity. But all in all, not a bad episode. Not much else I can say. I wish there was more Constantine, but hey, we get to see Constantine, and hopefully this means he can show up more in the DC CW universe. And yeah, all in all, not a bad episode. I am curious. I might continue on. I guess I am, because I'm actually having a lot more fun with this season. Oh yeah, there's still bad stuff about these episodes. Don't get me wrong. Like I still find bad stuff throughout Arrow, but I'm having it's a lot less than it was in season 3. It's a lot less than it was in season 3. So yeah, it looks like I'm continuing on with the Arrow reviews. Something I swore I wouldn't do, but yeah, after these few episodes, I've just been like, yeah, I can power through it unless it starts to take a really nasty dive. Then I'll be like, fuck this. Yeah. So yeah, you guys tell me, what did you guys think of this episode? Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Do you guys want to see more Constantine in the DCCW universe, especially in Legends of Tomorrow? But yeah. Anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later. Oh, one more thing I want to ask real quick is... Yeah, do you guys want to see more Arrow reviews? I've kind of lived up to the quote. I've kind of lived up to the whole point of watching Arrow, was because I wanted to see Constantine and I didn't want to be confused as to his introduction. So I kind of fulfilled my purpose here. But if you guys want, I'll still continue to do Arrow reviews unless it really starts to take a dive in quality. But yeah, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.